Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again. Today, I am going to kick off Steamforged Week with a first look at Monster Hunter World Ancient Forest from the aforementioned Steamforged Games. This is for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays in about 60 to 90 minutes. It is available now. It carries an MSRP of $129.99. All that said, let's swing on over to the other camera. Before we jump in, I do want to mention that the fine folks over at Steamforged Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But of course, neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. These days, it's very important. You know that. So let's get the shrink off this massive box and we will dive on in. I'm going to save the miniatures for last so we can get a closer look at those. All right. Wow. This box weighs probably at least 10 pounds. No joke. All right, it's slowly coming along. There we go. I got it now. All right. Move that box top out of the way. So looks like we get some artwork right there on the cover. That's just some card stock. So we've got our massive mini here, which appears it's going to snap together. I'm going to get that out of the way. So we'll dive on into that in a few moments. Got a bunch of punch boards here. We've got our rules. We've got more miniatures. We've got boards and so forth. So I'm going to take these out. A nice insert too. Got a bunch of decks of cards. This box is so deep, I can't actually see this stuff that I'm grabbing right there. It's like, no idea whatsoever. Wow, there's a lot of decks of cards here. Well, you certainly can see that you are getting your money's worth for that $129.99. Okay, so I'm going to put this stuff off to the side. First thing we're going to take a look at is our rule book. So you can download a quick start guide at steamforged.com if you have not played this before. Monster Hunter World, the board game Ancient Forest, is a cooperative arena combat campaign game. As hunters of the Fifth Fleet, your group will undertake quests to track down and slay the monsters of the New World to ensure the safety of the Astera Battle Camp and the Research Commission. This is a core game, so this is not an expansion. So we're going to see our game components, our hunters, our monsters, quest book, character sheet, stamina board, game board. We've got some tokens that represent terrain, forge reference cards as you forge your gear, time cards, weapon cards, damage cards, armor cards, attack cards, elemental damage cards, Palico cards, tokens, and so forth, health dials. So now we're going to get into our game setup, our hunter setup, phases of a quest, selecting your quest, gathering phase, hunting phase, return to HQ. You also have a campaign timer. Gathering phase. In this phase, you'll track down the monster you've chosen to hunt. Along the way, you may acquire monster tracks, potions, or useful resources. Then we got the hunting phase. In this phase, your hunters will face the monster they've tracked down in brutal combat and attempt to slay it. So we've got the monsters, and they have a physiology card, behavior cards, talking about the monster turn and what actions it performs in a specific order, determining the target of the monster, moving monsters. And this paper is treated, so this rule book should hold up very nicely at your game table. This is not just regular paper. And the paper stock is pretty decent. It's pretty thick, especially for a board game rule book. So it's getting into damage, different types of damage, different kind of potions. HQ phase. In the HQ phase, you'll carve resources from the slain monster, forge new armor and weapons, and set up your next quest. Talking about different weapons there. You get an appendix and our index. And it looks like you can play this as a single player campaign as well. We also have our Forest Quest book. I should say Ancient Forest Quest. It's going to get into our details about each of the monsters, I think. The Great Jagras. Tobikadichi. Looks like these are cards that are drawn, is my guess. You'll be drawing cards, and then depending on what monster you're going after, you'll refer to that number. And this is also treated the same way as the rule book. The Rathalos. There's different kinds of quests too. Assigned quest, investigation quest, and tempered investigation quest. The Azure Rathalos. So a different variant. Downtime activities. Arena quests. So we've got an alternate or alternative play mode. Huh. Impressive. And then we get some artwork to wrap that up. Okay, then we've got the punch boards for our tokens. So let me get my handy dandy hobby knife out here. Looks like we've got our game board in here too. We do, and it's dual-sided. All right, come on. There we go. So here we've got our game board. The one side here, and then I'll just flip this over. And we've got our other side here. And pretty thick cardstock on this. So we've got some tokens here. We've got the dial. I think that's a campaign timer. And of course, as you can see, these are also dual-sided. And then we've got loads of cards. I'm not going to look at all of these cards. We'll just take a kind of a peek. But it looks like these are probably over 100 in these stacks here. This one's a little bit shorter. All right, let's get the shrink off of all these. And then we will dive on in. Okay. So we're going to have a few different decks. So that looks like that's one there. These are all the same there. These might be the monster decks. Yeah, maybe not. Okay, so those are all that same deck. What we got here? So they're broken up into a variety of cards here. Different colors too. Oh, so these are weapons, it looks like. Yep, different kinds of weapons. This might be starting equipment because it's color coded there. We'll find out. So we've got all of that. And then we've also got more of these cards. So yeah, so there's loads of different decks of cards here. So let's just take a peek, see what some of these are. So different weapons, chainmail headgear. So these are attacks too. Rising slash, true charge slash, hunter's knife. So we've got the various different symbols here. And it looks like some of our moves are also going to be based on the equipment we've got. So these are all maneuvers, bladed fangs, blade dance. And we got the iron bow. Take a peek at some of these here too. Bone blade, giant jaw blade, strong charge up. One was hero splitter, was a maneuver there. All right. Hunter's bow, steel bow, hunter's short bow, stout bow, I should say. Ally bow. So more of those. More of the same here. So all of those decks are associated with each other. Then we have, our little companions. That's kind of cool. I forget what they're called. I played a little bit of Monster Hunter World. I thought it was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. Never came close to finishing it, though. Okay, here we've got tactical shifts, monster retreats, sleep toad, roar, misread, researcher's favor. So it looks like these might be some sort of like research cards that you might get. All right, those were the companions there. So these are numbered 1 through 4. And then here we've got kind of the same thing. 2, 3, 4. Well, that's kind of wild. You would think maybe they would have just gone with a die because it looks like everything's the same. All these symbols are identical on here. So we're just looking at 1 through 4, I guess. Huh. Then there is one other deck. It is smaller cards. It looks like these are the decks for each of the monsters and what maneuvers they make. Heavy bite, belly slam, backflip slam, charge, raging charge. All right, nice. Okay, so we also have more decks of cards with the various different weapons. And then we have a pad of essentially scoring cards, our campaign game. We also have these mats. Get a closer look at these. And I think these are for the characters and monsters, because here are the monsters right there. Dual-sided? Yep. And decent cardstock on these. So here are all the various different variations on the monsters. And then we get our crafting references here for the different great weapons. Also dual-sided. All right. And then lastly, this is just simply a center board that we're going to put our decks. So it's going to show us where they go. It looks like it's actually twice this length. Looks like it might be folded over here. Oh no, each player gets one. Oh, that's kind of wild. All right, cool. Very nice. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the focal point of the overhead camera so we can get a far, far better look at the miniatures included in Monster Hunter World Ancient Forest. All right, so I actually assembled one of the miniatures here, and I have got to say that is one wild looking mini. I'd have to play around with this because this isn't flush going in. But I'm sure I just have to mess around with it a little bit. As you can see, that is pretty sweet. So there are 4 monsters. There are 4 hunters. So the next of our miniatures right here. Detail on these is excellent, as we've come to expect from Steamforged Games. All right, next up. Now, keep in mind that the hunters are your standard, they look about 32 millimeter to the naked eye. So once we take a peek at all the miniatures, I will show you the size comparison next to each other. And then we got the smallest of the monsters. Digging these a lot. Okay, so now let's get into our hunters. We'll get a closer look at these. Got the giant sword. So that's the first of our hunters. Then we've got the hunter with the bow. The hunter with the dual blades. And lastly, sword and shield is what it looks like here. We got sword and shield. And to give you a size comparison, like so. I know it's out of focus a little bit when I did that, but there you go. That is our size comparison. Very, very cool. All right. So let me swing over to the other camera because that is a look inside Monster Hunter World Ancient Forest from Steamforged Games. Once again, this carries an MSRP of $129.99. I will hopefully have a review in the not too distant future. Okay, that is it for this time out. If you liked the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. It will not only let you know when I share videos such as this first look, it will also inform you when my live show, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, thank you for watching. I'm Jeff McAleer, and until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.